A new month means no matter where you've been and what you've been up to, you get to start again. So seize it, and you've already started on the right foot. We're tuning in to Rise with the BTV this morning. I am Tony Subramony, and I'm back again to help you start this morning right. This morning, I'd like to just talk about self-esteem or self-confidence. It's an area that we've all struggled in at some times in our lives, and many of us continue to struggle even through all that we've been through in the lockdown restrictions. Very often, we are guided and we are encouraged by people's validation of us, and that's a good thing. We all look forward to being validated by people's comments on the way we look, the way we dress, the way we speak, and the way we conduct ourselves, and that's a good thing. But how many of us are basically living our lives waiting for other people's validation of us? And that's where the whole issue of self-esteem or self-confidence comes into play. This morning, I want to encourage our viewers to just stop whatever you're doing and engage in a discussion around this topic of self-confidence. One of the ways of actually boosting our self-confidence or getting better at it is to understand that we need to respect our own opinions. When we start to respect our own opinions, we add value to our own opinions as well. And in essence, what happens then is that we're not dependent and guided by the opinions of other people, which very often happens in our lives as well too. The other thing that helps us to build our self-confidence or self-esteem is to understand that we are directed by the fact that other people's validation is important, but we need to look at the authenticity of our own selves and realize that we have value, we have potential, and we have the ability to rise above where we are at the moment. When we make the decision to focus on that, automatically you start focusing on how to get better each day, and in essence live a life that is going to be much more fulfilling as you live each day as well. And in that sense, you're actually adding value to yourself and becoming a better version of yourself as well too. Very often also you hear people say, show me your friends and I'll tell you your future. And that is exactly who you need to associate with. Associate with people that upgrade you rather than downgrade you. It is so often we depend on a lot of people that are saying things that are bringing us down all the time, and it can be so demeaning as well. This morning I want to encourage our viewers to look at people who are going to be in your circle that are going to upgrade you and show you the way that's going to really tap into your potential as well too. The other fact that actually adds to us building our self-esteem is to understand that we need to live our own lives. And this life is not dictated or determined by other people as well. Yes, we are guided by our parents, our pastors, our teachers, our supervisors, and our directors at the workplace. But are we living our own lives, or are we living the lives as determined by someone else? There's no judges that have been appointed to evaluate our self-worth. Your self-worth is what you should be evaluating on a daily basis. So this morning I want to encourage our viewers to look at this aspect of building and expanding on your self-esteem and your self-confidence so that you're going to live a life that will show you your true version and an extended version of who you really are. After the recent lockdown restrictions, many services had to become remote. Dr. Lionel has followed suit and now offers house calls. We have Doctor in the studio to tell us more about this new venture.
Good morning and welcome to this morning's This Is Life segment. In studio with me today, I've got Dr. Lionel. How are you doing, Dr. Lionel?
Good morning, I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So Dr. Lionel, we're going to get straight into it, into your story. Can you give us some background on how you started your journey into medicine, your background before, and what got you to where you are now?
So I studied at Wits University. I have no idea what I would have done had I not done medicine. I thought I was always going to be a surgeon. And then I got into district healthcare and district health systems and things, and I realized that's where real health lies, is in the family and the community. And so I've decided to take my journey into a little bit of uncharted territory now, and open up a practice specializing in house calls.
Yeah. Okay, so most doctors, if not all, actually operate from their practices and from their offices or the hospitals. What inspired you to start doing house calls specifically?
So I think that's the most interesting question is does healthcare belong in a facility only? And I think we've all been through such a turbulent last 2 years that we are reassessing the definition of health and access to health and all these things.
Definitely.
And as a healthcare provider, you get so much more information visiting someone in the home, engaging with their family members, getting multiple opinions, and also being able to feed back all the information from the consultation to all the family members all at one time is quite nice, and you're not limiting one visitor during visiting hours. So I think there's a lot of benefits to being in the household, benefits to improved care, improved communication, better follow-up plans perhaps, and it just, I think, makes the patients and their family a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, I can imagine. And then I know with doctor's visits it's usually about 15 minutes, or it's charged per hour. With you, when you go into the homes, do you have a specific time limit that you work on, or do you just work on the actual patient's needs?
So no, I have no time limits or time bookings. All my bookings are made online and confirmed online, but they're just best guess estimates. We might have load shedding, there might be terrible weather. So I will obviously keep in communication with these things. But the idea is once I'm in your home, you get a lot more of contact time and conversation time, because that's where the level of care and the level of discussion should tend towards. No consultations are limited. I do offer also video consultations and telephonic consultations, which are then limited to time, to about 20 or 30 minutes. But I think 15 minutes is just not enough time to get a good history in this day and age.
Yeah, definitely. Being on the side of the patient myself, I know that I first have to prep before I go into the office and think, okay, wait, I have to get this and this and this done before the 15 minutes and make sure it's all done.
Exactly.
So just before I go into my next question, have you ever worked in an office or a practice before you started doing the house calls?
So I've done some kind of, you could call it job shadowing or some other stuff, but in terms of private healthcare, this will be my first step into, because it is a very unique service.
Yeah, it is.
It needs a very unique population and community, and I think the North Coast is a perfect example of people who have very busy lives and need everything else to fit into their lives better.
Yeah, definitely. So then now going into my next question, comparing the two, have you seen an improvement, let me rather say, an improvement in your healthcare for your patients since you started doing the house calls?
I think I've seen a few patients, and I think the best thing that I hear is just that it was such a relief to have to not consider the logistics of moving, for example, older persons who have got issues with pain or mobility, or are already using wheelchairs or surgical devices. And so the logistics of getting that patient in the car, out the car, in the car park, it can be quite overwhelming. And for a busy mother with lots of kids, and one kid is sick and the others are not sick, you can't just pack these kids up and quickly rush off somewhere. So I think the benefits to care are improved personal contact, and I think that alone can improve the outcomes of the consultation because of genuine care.
That sounds absolutely amazing. So for anyone who feels like they are in need of your services, how can we contact you?
So probably the best way would just be to have a look at my website. There's a lot of information there about how to contact us and what time, and certainly, to be fair to all the people, all the costing is on the website as well, so that there's no hidden costs. You're getting what you're expecting, and possibly more.
Okay. And just one more question. I know I said in closing, but it just popped up now. Does medical aid cover your services as well?
So no, at this stage, unfortunately, it's a little bit of uncharted territory. So medical aid don't necessarily want the service.
Not yet, of
not
course.
yet for now. Yeah, I think there's developments happening all the time that I'm watching. For example, providing hospital level care at home. There are some schemes that are looking at offering that. So I think it's an up and coming industry, I guess, and service.
So with that being said, how do the payments work then?
So unfortunately, I'm not contracted to medical aids at this stage because, as I mentioned, house calls and concierge is a little bit of a new niche market that hasn't quite filtered through the big schemes. So I'm a cash-only practice, which means that after the consultation is finished, I will produce an invoice electronically and send it via email or WhatsApp, whichever you prefer. And I take payment immediately after the consultation with a card machine or with Zapper, whichever is useful for you.
You know, I think with this new world that we've currently entered after COVID and everything, it's the perfect service to offer to everyone. And I find it absolutely beautiful. I mean, I'm going to start taking part in that now. So thank you so much for joining us in studio today, Dr. Lionel. And I hope you enjoyed your stay with us.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to introduce myself to your community.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Hi, good day. My name is Anime Kutsia. I am the proud owner of a company called True Awakenings, where I specialize with individual coaching, business coaching, and certification training. My intention of the business and of the series that I'm going to introduce you to over the next couple of weeks and months is personal freedom. And what does that actually mean to us as individuals? What does it show up like in your world and in your business and in every area of your life? So I'm specializing in training of different modalities, but the most important one being something called NLP. Now, I know it sounds like a mouthful. I know when I heard it the first time, it sounded like a bit of a swear word, but it really means neuro-linguistic programming, which is the psychology of thinking and how do we consistently produce excellent results through our behavior. So what is the thoughts that drives the emotions, that drives the actions? So I want to talk about how emotions are affecting our behavior and how we can manage those emotions in a different way so that it makes the behavior that we're looking for quite easy. And the same thing about how the thoughts that we think affects the emotions. So I've got with me in the studio here today a special lady by the name of Nomfundo. Welcome, Nomfundo.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining me.
It's a pleasure.
We're just going to have a comfortable couch conversation with your experience of my work. We've met each other some years back now.
Yep.
And how this has impacted in your life, how you experienced this. Yeah. What does this mean to you in your world on a personal level and also in your business, right?
Right.
And how you? I remember a conversation we had before about how the world is really struggling with a lot of anxiety right now.
Right.
Yeah.
considering the fact that I struggle with a lot of anxiety, NLP has really helped me to kind of downsize for myself, kind of chunk it down from being such a big thing in my life, something that I can't handle, just realizing that it's actually, if I just narrow myself down and figure out exactly what the problem is, it becomes an easier situation to handle.
Becomes more manageable, right?
Much more manageable. NLP kind of assists you as a person, for me per se, when it comes to anxiety. So many things are happening in our daily life that it's very important we know who we are while we are going through this rigmarole of life that we are in right now. And once you figure that out, it becomes such an easier process to actually figure out what's happening in your life. Plus that you know who you are, it becomes such an easy road. Not easy, but it becomes a bit an easier road to actually navigate.
So let me ask you this. When you think of those experiences where you've experienced anxiety before, were you conscious about the things that made you feel anxious?
No.
Right? You just wake up and you have this emotion, right?
No, you literally wake up and all you can think about is the fact that your body's vibrating, your mind is going crazy, everything is going haywire, you know? So I never thought about it, to answer your question.
So here's the thing. Did you know that there's between 50 and 80,000 thoughts running through your mind every single day?
Well, through my NLP, yes, through my NLP training, now I know.
So that's really what's happening at an unconscious level. We've got so much that is processing that we're not conscious of. And that's what's impacting these emotions. And, and the way that we get awareness of it is what we feel, right? So I like to think of fear as like a little Jack Russell. This is my analogy for it.
Yes.
Is something happens, let's say someone rings the doorbell, the little Jack Russell goes absolutely haywire, starts barking, runs to the door.
Yeah.
It's like an alarm going off, telling you, watch out, something's happening, something's changing, someone is coming into our space, and it's really up to us to look at this and say, well, am I in danger? Number one.
I think that's
like saying to the little Jack Russell,
yes.
it's okay, it's okay, it's just non-fundo coming to visit. It's not necessary for you to go into a frenzy, right? But we don't have the mindfulness necessarily every single time to go, what's actually going on here, right? So I like what you described with breaking it down into smaller pieces, because that brings me to the example of the feeling of feeling overwhelmed, right? So normally anxiousness is a result of already feeling overwhelmed. And we experience it and become aware of it as I'm feeling anxious.
Yes.
But in actual fact, sometimes it's actually just you're overwhelmed, right? And you mentioned it's like there's so much to do. And if I narrow it down, it becomes easier to do.
And it's a conscious effort every single day. Catching yourself when it happens, having the tools in your toolbox to go, okay, fine, this is what's happening right now. Let me catch myself. How do I move from the situation I'm in right now to a more resourceful state where I'm actually able to do the things I need to do without feeling this overwhelm or feeling this anxiety, you know? And we all know fear, anxiety is the fear of the future. So if you knew what you could do right now for your future to be amazing, narrowing it down, realizing what it is, it becomes such an easier, I keep on using easier, process for you to actually kind of channel. So I think when it comes to understanding the mind and understanding that there's so many bits of information happening on a daily basis, and we've got so much coming from the outside, narrowing it down, bringing it back home, and understanding yourself as a human being, understanding what you're actually experiencing right now, and going forward, it becomes such a great experience for everybody around you, because you're not just living for yourself. You're living for yourself, but you are interacting with so many people. So if you as a person can be in a resourceful state, it becomes easier for everybody else around you to be in a resourceful state, meaning that everybody can just live a better life.
100%.
You know?
And if you think of behaviors, when you're in an anxious state, or feeling overwhelmed, what's the behavior that comes with that, right? So whatever the action is that we need to do to get to the stuff that we want to get, like whatever the goal is that I want to achieve, whatever the outcome is that I want to arrive at.
Right.
Would the behavior that goes with anxiety get me there? Right? So it's so subtle and it's so unconscious. That subtle little thought that runs through your mind that goes, and your brain is in fight and flight, and it's now nervous, and it's like looking, oh, what's happening from here? What should I? But it puts you in this slight little apprehensive state, and it affects your entire physiology, because the body and mind is one, and it affects the entire physiology. And then we start behaving in ways. Little example. Have you ever had one of those days where you trip over the cat or the dog, and then you end up spilling your coffee on yourself, and you walk out the house going, oh, it's going to be one of those days.
Yes.
Right? Because something has happened. You already made the decision that it's going to have this impact on the rest of your day, and then it just multiplies on other little tiny behaviors. Now you can't find your keys, and then you're late to get to the car, and you're stuck in traffic, and it just compounds.
You're right.
Because that thought so quickly affected how you felt and then how you behaved. If you could in that moment just say, oh my gosh, how clumsy was that moment, I'm choosing to have a great day. It's the mindfulness of the thought that causes you to feel different, right? So, and that feeling of feeling different, whatever that is what's most aligned with the type of day that I want to have, right? The type of behavior that would be most suited for that, right?
Yes.
So I think that's what's very useful in today's times. Is life perfect? Do you have any, has all your problems disappeared?
No. No.
The question is, do you have some tools and how to think about them differently?
That I have an array of tools now. And I'm going to make an example of my own. Recently, when I finished the training, understanding that my life right now has to change was something that I knew when I did the training, when I went into the training. But the impact that the daily activities or the things that we are learning on a daily basis, the tools that are literally coming into your little toolbox, I have a picture of a little pink toolbox and I just keep putting all my tools inside. Realizing that I got to change, I have to change, but having the tools to change has absolutely changed every single minute of my life. Everything I do now is intentional. Everything that happens on my day is intentional. Every conversation I have is intentional. Before something comes out of my mouth, it's thought out. Okay, but is this useful? Is it not useful? How is it going to help me get to my next phase? Because every conversation shouldn't just be just a conversation. It should be a beautiful experience or an exchange between two people. And that's one thing that I have to say, that it's really changed my internal state, changed how I think of myself, how I think of other people, realizing that if I want the change I want to see in the world, in my own world, I have to really deep inside of me and pull out those parts of me with these tools, a little screwdriver, like a swish screwdriver coming out, and all of these tools that I have to get to where I need to get. So the idea of change before you do the training, and the concepts of change while you're doing the training, when you get out on the other side and you're implementing, it feels so liberating, because for the very first time you realize that it's all in my hands. Everybody tells you that, but nobody gives you the tools to actually realize and actualize that it's really in your hands. You know what I mean? The screwdriver's in your hand, everything is in your hands. And so I think that's the biggest thing that I have learned through NLP, is that the change, it helps you implement the change that you want. One of the biggest things that you kept saying to us even during the training was, none of this is useful if you don't take the action. And having the intent while you're taking the action is even more important.
Stay tuned for our next episode, where we dig in a little bit deeper in our conversation with Nomfundo in the studio with us.
Welcome back. So today we've got Jane Digby back in studio to answer the question on everyone's mind, what's new? Jane, before we get to that, how are you doing today?
Very good, thank you. Yeah,
Great.
excited to be here sharing info about our new exhibition.
Yeah, it's always great having you here in studio. Always
Thank
some
you.
interesting concepts that you have going on at the studio. But before we dive into the new one, I just want to recap quickly. At the start of the month of October, we had a new, August, not October, we had a new theme. And I just want to ask, how did that go at the gallery?
Very well. Oh, we've had some amazing response to it. The artworks obviously have been adored and loved and have inspired. Sales have been really good as well, so we're feeling really uplifted. But also the interactive areas generated a lot of thought and a lot of coming together, I think, and communications. We also had chats, conversations within the studios, which was wonderful. So there's been a lot of sharing and giving and a lot of focus on sisterhood, what it means to be sisterhood. And that's just not biological sisterhood, but it's just, hey, just being us.
And it sounds like from our last conversation, you actually achieved all the outcomes that you were expecting.
You always think in retrospect, oh, we could have done this, we could have done that, but no, we've been really delighted with it and excited about what's up next too.
So what's up next?
Well, it's for F6, which is a little bit of a tongue twister
Quite
at
a
times,
cheeky one.
but it is. It's all about fauna, flora, feathers and a touch of fur. So we're focusing on the environment, of course hot topic, and it's not just hot topic now, it should always have been hot topic,
of years as well,
and it should always remain hot topic. I mean, the natural world for artists is our primary source of inspiration. So we're really excited about this next upcoming exhibition with 20 2D artists, so paintings and 2D hanging artworks, and about 10 sculptors. So very excited, and we're going to have a bit of interaction as well, but it's going to be food for thought, so come along. As always, you're going to have to really think, you're going to have a cup of coffee at the coffee lab to really think about your answers, because it's going to be like a little voting interactive section where we're going to get people to think, scratch and think below the surface.
Okay, sounds exciting. So you spoke a bit about the artists. Can I ask, who are some of the artists that we can expect to see?
So we've got some visitors to KZN. We've got Valentin Magutsa from Zimbabwe joining us with 3 magnificent paintings. We are very proud to represent him and excited to feel the response from our visitors to his artworks.
Especially from outside of SA. It's quite a global reach now.
And we've got Ingrid Ace from Johannesburg, who does the most beautiful birds, very soft, gentle, fleeting moments she captures. And then we've also got Shirley Brandon, who's an amazing floral artist. But they verge on almost abstract, so there's movement and beautiful colours in her artworks. We've got Gift Glamini returning with his fantastic artworks. He's been so popular. People are loving his artworks. He's professional. It's a dream to work with in the gallery, and he's got some exciting new pieces. So we can't wait to hang those. And who else? Oh, we've got. I've got to check my list. We've got Leslie Island Matthew, who's fantastic, super realism, amazing, intricate paintings, almost look like puzzle pieces. They make you want to look in to the artwork. So every artist has a very different style, which makes the gallery so exciting to come and see. So there's bound to be an artwork and an artist that you love, which is what we really try and aim for with each exhibition. And heaps more artists, but what I really want to say is that each artist sort of is affected in a creative way by the natural world around. And we don't always aim for super realism, but it's our way of interpreting what nature stirs in us. And I think that's the same for everyone. It's not just artists, it's everyone. Yeah. You don't have to think of yourself as a creative, but when we're walking on the beach or walking in the forest, we're all stirred by nature. And that's what we want to encourage. We want to encourage people to see nature and experience nature in a far deeper way than just walking the dog.
Yeah, definitely.
Or just getting from A to B. We want them to really
take it in.
To take in that moment. To realize how important nature is to us. And it's so important that we treasure it and nurture it. And there's a wonderful quote, and I'm not going to remember it. Do you remember it? Because we discussed it just now.
Oh my gosh, it's gone. What was it? Small acts multiplied by millions of people.
By millions of people. Oops, I've got to have a look. Transform the world.
There we go.
So there we are. Can I read? Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world.
Yes.
So we want to encourage during this exhibition that, yes, we can continue to recycle. Yes, we can continue to do this and that. But let's every month do that little bit more to protect our environment. Let's create that awareness more and more. And if we each do so, we're going to have an incredible ripple effect that will literally save us human beings, because it's not the planet that needs saving, it's us human beings. We're the ones who are putting our future generations at risk. The planet will survive, but will we?
With or without us, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what I actually love about this theme that you've got going is it actually reminds you, or it rather puts emphasis on how no one actually pays attention to how much the environment impacts your psychological health as well. So taking that in and appreciating it for what it does for you is actually quite vital.
So true. In fact, this came out, and it's almost the reason why we're having this exhibition following Sisters. Because during Sisters, we had these conversations with, and during the conversations with many of them, a lot of the people having these discussions, at the end of it, what came out was what was most important in their life, in creating joy in their life, was nature.
Yeah.
So that's why we're following it up, following Sisters with nature, for F's sakes, trying to like shock us into thinking, come on now, what's the next step into protecting our planet so we can protect ourselves and future generations.
That's just absolutely beautiful. So Jane, for people who want to come and enjoy this exhibition with you,
the opening.
The opening. When does it open? How long is it going to run for?
On Thursday, the 6th of October. It's along with our first Thursdays at the studio, so I tell you, there's all sorts on. We've even got Chateau Gâteau coming to give us tasty treats. We've got wine tasting, we've got pizza, we've got live music, we've got an array of wonderful activities. So come on down. The official opening is at 6 o'clock, and it's not too official, it's very laid back. You can come straight off the beach if you want. When you're walking forest shoes, we don't care. We just want you to come along and enjoy the vibe, have a vote, see which artworks inspire you, and come and join in the fun.
Yeah, sounds like a lot of fun. Very exciting. The cakes, the wine tasting, the art, everything's just beautiful.
And we're also going to be having interactive music. So when I say interactive music, it's more just headphones, so you can walk around the artworks, listening to the most incredible soundtrack, my favorite, and I'm not going to tell you what it is. You've got to come and listen yourselves, because listening to this, the greatest guitarist in the world, along with these incredible artworks, is just going to rock your soul.
Imagining that just gave me goosebumps.
I know, I'm so excited. In fact, I was listening to it last night and I said, I've just got to pour a glass of wine to listen to this music.
So you see, you've got it all together at the gallery. There's nothing that's going to be missing. You're going to have the wine, you're going to have the music, you're going to have the art pieces, everything.
And we're going to have a little bit of interaction within the gallery. And so that's going to be some real food for thought. So it's not just for adults. You know, over the course of the next 2 months, bring your children, bring your family members, bring your friends. We want everybody to really think about the questions we're going to be asking you.
everyone, even the future generations, because they have
Oh, very important.
Yeah.
And it's really important to us as a gallery to inspire our younger generation.
Yeah.
After all, you know, we are here to look after our younger generations, to hand over the planet in
So it's intact.
intact.
Yeah. It's been such a wonderful and insightful conversation with you, Jane, as always. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Lovely. And we'll see you there.
Yeah, definitely.
Good.
So you've heard it straight from Jane herself. Go through to the gallery as of the 6th of October and enjoy the wonderful art pieces and everything else that they're going to have with the exhibition.
And that's it for today. The BTV family wishes you all an amazing week moving forward. Thank you to our guests and our viewers for joining us this morning, and a massive thank you to our sponsors, La Montagne, the Air Shack, and Puza Water. Bye.